All right, we are live on YouTube. Welcome to Navigating the Modern World with Eli. Glad you could all join me here today on this amazing Saturday. It is Saturday, December 27th, 2025. Just a few days away before New Year's Eve, and then New Year's Day 2026 is right around the corner. I hope you're all prepared for that. My lady Dawn and I and our families are already prepared. We plan well in advance. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're not here to talk about that today, which is what I'm trying to say. But anyway, we've got a lot to talk about here today. And I'm going to get to all that in just a little bit. But before we get to that, as always, let me make sure that everything is rolling smoothly on the back end of YouTube. The back end of YouTube seems to be rolling well. Let me also make sure that the YouTube notification has gone out. It looks like it has. And let me do a sound check here. Saturday, December 27th. 2025, just a few days away before New Year's Eve, and then New Year's Day 2026 is right around the corner. I hope you're all right. All right. All is rolling well. Let's get right to it because we have a lot to talk about. And then my lady and I need to run some errands and spend some time together later this evening. More than likely, I'll be doing a Walking with Purpose stream as well later this afternoon. In case people are wondering, my lady's first in the chat, respectfully, maturely, and professionally. Dawn's in the house. She says, hey, love, hey, babe. 1 minute delay between what I say and what goes out here while these in-studio streams are live. It's a safety mechanism for myself in case I want to cut something before it gets out to YouTube, or if we bring some people on the panel at times and they try to do some crazy things that would get my video removed, or even worse, get my channel shut down, I can prevent that from happening. But anyway, let's get right to it. All right. The topic of this stream is the defendant keeps playing games, and as the plaintiff, I'm not. Here's why. One more time. The topic of this show is the defendant keeps playing games, and as the plaintiff, I'm not. Here's why. Is that Tia? Tia's in the house. Hello, Dawn and Eli. Hey, Tia. 1 minute delay between what I say and what goes out here during these in-studio streams. You know the drill. I hope your day is going well. Thank you for your wonderful messages behind the scenes. I'm sure ODN will be joining us, and a bunch of others will be joining us as well. Yeah. So, if you're not aware, there's been this YouTuber out here. I'm not going to mention his name. There's been this YouTuber that's been writing my name and likeness, defaming my character, using massive amounts of my copyright, primarily rebroadcasting my streams in their entirety as they're happening live. It's basically known as a watch party, where he does that because that's what his audience wants in real time. It's real-time, emotionally charging engagement that incites lots of donations. I'm going to prove all of that here today. I sued him in a circuit civil case a little over 3 months ago, back in September. I think it was September 3rd when I filed earlier this year in 2025. I sued him for malicious prosecution and abuse of process because he tried to get a fraudulent stalking injunction order on me in his state of Florida. That case was dismissed literally 20 minutes after it started for insufficient evidence. And so that's where the malicious prosecution comes from. There's abuse of process regarding the process server he used that's been a part of his community. and what happened there. I'm not going to get into that. I'm suing him also civilly for defamation of character for stating false statements as facts about me, and then in some cases trying to shield those false statements as facts through parody. And parody does not, make defamation immune. You can't sit there and defame someone through parody while using their caricature and their likeness. And to the audience, they know that that parody is about me. That is still, defamation. Okay. I'm also suing him civilly for malicious, I already mentioned malicious prosecution, for intentional infliction of emotional distress. Now, there's another issue that I started talking about recently. It's been an issue for a long time, and I figured that the circuit civil case would handle this situation with the way that this defendant has been misappropriating myself in many ways out here on YouTube. It's been affecting my reputation. It's affected our growth here. It's, just affected us in many different ways, right? Recently, again, he started to rebroadcast every single one of my live streams as I go live. And he's trying to make it sound like if I talk about him within my First Amendment freedom of speech, that gives him the automatic right to fully rebroadcast my entire live streams as they're happening live, or even just use my full content, even outside of live streams. But he wouldn't do that because he wouldn't get the same engagement. He's allowed to respond to me. He's allowed to share his thoughts about what I'm saying. I'm allowed to share my thoughts about what he's saying. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as it doesn't cross the line of what's protected by the First Amendment speech, or again, doesn't cross the line of defamation, right? What he's not allowed to do, and seems to not realize, or at least maybe he's playing that off like he doesn't realize, what he's not allowed to do is commercially exploit and monetize my content, which is what he's doing. He's not allowed to use, under fair use, entire full-length rebroadcasts as they're happening live. He's allowed to use small excerpts for the purpose of commentary, criticism, etc., right? So now he's kind of shifted gears back to massive copyright infringement. And it's basically forced me in a position where, I was going to wait until after this circuit civil case was handled. I was going to file copyright after that. But because of what he started doing again, that's once again severely starting to affect me and affect us here at the GNA, I now have to go the copyright route. And there's a couple options regarding copyright. There's, you can file in the Copyright Claims Board. It's a new board where, you're allowed to file smaller claims without having to go through the whole process of federal court, including the expense of hiring an attorney. Okay. But the caveat in the CCB, Copyright Claims Board, also known as Small Claims Copyright Court, is that anyone that you sue there or you bring a claim on there can opt out within 60 days of being served. So it's not even worth filing there. You have to go directly to federal copyright court. Okay. And I mentioned the other day, that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. Okay. And I want to update you folks on where we're at with that, because there are some updates. I also want to update you on what the defendant said in his live stream last night, where he fully rebroadcasted my Walking with Purpose stream as I was broadcasting live, walking live. Okay, that's the third stream in a row that he's fully rebroadcasted me. And again, he's saying that if I keep talking about him, meaning that if I correct the record that I feel he's misappropriating me on, then he's going to continue to restream me within his fair use rights and his First Amendment rights. See, for some reason, this person, this defendant, seems to think that all of these rights and laws are absolute, and they're not absolute, okay? They're guidelines. It is the law, but you have to actually use your rights within the law. You can't abuse the law and then assert the law that you're abusing as an attempt to protect yourself from copyright infringement or defamation, right? Okay? Defamation, and protected speech is protected speech. And there's a huge difference between the both of them. There's also, like I said the other day, a huge difference between copyright infringement and protected speech and defamation. They're separate aspects, and they're even handled in separate courts. Okay? Now, you could file for defamation in a federal court, but typically you sue someone for defamation in a state court. Okay? But when it comes to copyright, the only option you have, besides the Copyright Claims Board that anyone can opt out of within 60 days after being served, is you have to go to federal copyright court, a federal district court in the jurisdiction of the person you are suing, right? So because of his recent actions that are starting to affect me again, I'm talking about this publicly to correct the record calmly and professionally. Okay, I have the right to do that as often as I want to do that. That doesn't give him the automatic right to rebroadcast my streams. He can go live and he can respond to me. He can even go live, during the same time if he wants as I'm going live. And as long as he doesn't play my audio or video on the screen, he can respond, but that would be pretty hard to do. Or he can go live after these streams are done and play a few small clips, or not use any clips at all, and respond to me in the same ways I'm responding to him. He's choosing not to do that because he knows what his audience wants, and he knows what his audience will pay for. And I'm not going to show you anything on the screen because I'm not going to give this guy anything to copyright me on, because he would, out of spite, in my opinion. But I will be paraphrasing like I did the other day, because he tried to say that, I'm using transcripts of his streams and his postings. All I'm doing is paraphrasing. I am not using exact words of what you've written or what you've said on your streams. I'm paraphrasing so I can answer the question and be as compliant as possible. Something that he's not. When it comes to this guy, you have to take extreme caution, because he'll be the first one to accuse you of violating his freedom of speech and violating his copyright. But then when you talk about him, apparently he seems to want to try and silence you. And then he seems to want to punish you if you respond to correct the record regarding, his statements that are, potentially not true or exaggerated, right? He wants to punish you by, rebroadcasting your entire live stream and siphoning your audience and your views, and then commercially monetizing it. That's not right. It's absolutely not right. Hey, Radio Shack, he is obsessed with you. Well, he's obsessed with making money off my name and likeness. And that's why we're going to, another court. We're going to be in court in 2 different venues. Tia says, hi, Radio Shack. Welcome. Hi, Tia says, Radio Shack. So here's between yesterday and today. Here's what I did. And this is a game changer, because I forgot one aspect that's going to change this completely. Okay. I just finished filing for 3 copyright certificates from the United States Library of Congress, also known as the U.S. Copyright Office. When you make a video or a live stream on YouTube, you get an automatic copyright. It's your copyright automatically. But if you want to sue someone in the Copyright Claims Board or in federal court, you have to have a registered certificate on what you're suing for. Okay. So I filed 3 copyright registrations between yesterday and today. And I'm assuming they're going to be approved within the next 1 to 3 months. Sometimes you get them after a month or less than a month. Sometimes they take up to 3 months or a little more. On average, it's about 2 to 3 months. Okay. I'm assuming these will be approved by April or May at the latest. Okay. And I filed for those registrations on my previous 3 streams. Okay. The stream I did yesterday for my walk, and then the stream I did on Christmas from the studio, and then the stream I did from my walk the day before that. All 3 of those streams, the defendant rebroadcasted the majority, I'd say 80-90% plus of my actual live stream as it was happening live, and he was inciting and also accepted a ton of donations, which is commercial monetization. Okay. Filing those 3 copyrights. Let me just read this to you folks, because this is the biggest game changer here. Okay. Registering a work with the U.S. Copyright Office within 90 days of its first publication makes it eligible for significant legal advantages, primarily the ability to claim statutory damages up to $150,000 per willful infringement, and attorney's fees, even if infringement started before registration. So as long as you register any work through the U.S. Copyright Office within the first 90 days, okay, it basically goes retroactive to the actual day that you created the piece of content. If it was a live stream, it was on that day, okay? And that automatically gives you statutory damages, statutory damage rights to sue for, okay? So what does that mean? That means once those 3 certificates are registered, I'm going to be filing a federal copyright lawsuit on the defendant out here on YouTube that I'm already currently suing in a circuit civil case in the state of Florida. What do statutory damages allow me to sue for? Let me make it very clear. These are not loss of income. I am not suing for loss of income or anything like that. Statutory damages are based on the statute. If somebody violates the statute and you file for the registration within the first 90 days, then you can sue for statutory damages. After the 90 days, you can still register your certificate, but then you can only sue for statutory damages from the date of registration. So if somebody used your work content, video, audio, picture before that time, you can't sue for statutory damages. If you wait beyond the 90 days and then you register after that, statutory damages start on the date of registration. You get it done within the first 90 days, it goes retroactive back to the date of the original work, when the work was created. Okay. Now, regular statutory damages can be awarded per work between the amount of $750 and $30,000. But if you're able to prove willful infringement, like somebody is continuously and recklessly and willfully violating your copyright, such as the defendant has done many times during the last 3 years and even recently, okay, then you could potentially be awarded up to $150,000 per work. Remember, I filed 3 copyright certificates on my streams for the last 3 days, all within the 90-day period. Okay? All are going to allow me to sue for statutory damages. Okay? I am also going to be suing for injunctive relief. I'm going to show the court, the judge, and this is not going to be a jury trial. This is going to be a bench trial because it's going to be a more simple case than the circuit civil case is going to be. Okay. I'm going to basically show the judge even prior evidence over the last 3 years, because the statute of limitations for copyright is 3 years. I'm going to show the judge previous infringement, watch party style, from the defendant, and anything he does from this point on between now and when I file this case, when I file the complaint in this case for copyright infringement, I will be showing the judge a pattern of willful infringement. It's going to help willful infringement statutory damages. It's also going to help show how much I really need injunctive relief to protect myself from this person. Let me check out the chat here real quick. Eli, keep fighting the good fight. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Radio Shack says, so he's allowed to use your content, all of your live streams, all of your material, but you're not allowed to mention him. Right. And that's how he works. We're going to get into all of that. And I think everyone already knows the answers. Everyone knows where I'm going with this, and probably including him. But he has to always take the opposite approach of what he knows is the truth and what the law is, because if not, then his audience won't show up and they won't donate to him. He has to continuously paint me as a bad person that doesn't understand the law and blah, 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 blah. If I talk about him to correct the record, then he can rebroadcast me. No, it doesn't give you a lifetime license to rebroadcast me just because I'm correcting the record. I'm not using any of your content. If I did, first of all, you would strike me, and I'm not going to give you that. And plus, I don't need your content to respond. I can just, take some notes like I have and freestyle just myself and the camera, right? Tia says, hi. I don't like your yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to remove you because of your channel name. I think you're trolling. When you look closely at the channel name, Tia, you'll understand why I removed them. Yeah, don't come in here and try to troll. And I think I know who that is. And say something nice while leaving a very insulting YouTube username. Radio Shack says, I can't believe the woman over there that support him doing this to you. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You have to also understand that that audience enjoys that. And so it says a lot about their character. It says a lot about their judgment. It says a lot about, what's going on internally with them, in my opinion. But it is what it is. And that's why we're handling this in the court. We're not sitting here overreacting or going crazy on YouTube. I had some massive overreactions many years ago when I was new to all this, when this first started happening, but I've learned how to handle it better, and we're just going to handle it in the court. In the meantime, if he and his group try to paint me as something out here that I'm not, I'm going to continuously and constantly correct the record. That's all, right? So yeah, this federal copyright case is going to be filed as soon as all 3 registrations are received by me in the mail. And I'm assuming it'll be filed around April or May of this coming year, 2026. Okay. And until that happens, I do not see the defendant stopping or backing down. But who knows? Maybe he'll realize that, oh, okay, statutory damages are real. And yes, I don't have to prove loss of income for statutory damages. I don't have to prove loss of income for injunctive relief. Okay? I'm not suing him for any lost revenue in any case, in the circuit civil case and including the copyright case. So he can't subpoena my financials because there's no reason to. I'm not suing for any money. I'm suing for statutory damages, which could award me money. And in the circuit civil case, I'm going to request punitive damages, which could award me money for egregious behavior. But I'm not suing for lost revenue or loss of income. That would be very hard to prove. So I'm not going that route. What I really want is injunctive relief in both cases. And, if I'm able to get some money because, he's made a lot of money at my expense, in my opinion, in unlawful ways, and we'll let the court decide the final outcome of that in both cases. If I get some money, that's great. If not, what I really want is injunctive relief in both cases, a protective order to stop the defamation, to stop the copyright infringement. Okay, what this doesn't mean, this is not a gag order. I am not asking either court to force him to stop talking about me. He can talk about me all he wants. Sir, you can talk about me all you want. You can insult me all you want. You could do whatever. Okay? You just can't defame me and you can't violate my copyright. I'm asserting those rights now in both cases. So again, you cannot sit there and say that I am violating your freedom of speech, because I'm not. I'm telling you, you could go live right now, and as long as you don't violate my copyright or defame me, you can talk about me all you want. You can go live about me every day and talk about me all you want. Insult me all you want. That's protected speech. What you can't do is defame me, and you can't violate my copyright. You don't do those two things, do whatever you want. But here's the thing. When he doesn't do one or both of those things, then nobody shows up. So he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. Okay? That's the truth of the matter, in my opinion. Tia says, you called that right, Eli. Channel was made 8 minutes ago. I see the derogatory aspect in his name. And Tia, we don't have to mention this because we don't want to give them any reason to accuse us of anything, but we all know who made that sock account. We all know who's doing that. We all know. Anyway, so yeah, that case will happen. If he doesn't believe me, or if other people question it, then I would be happy to do another stream sometime in the next few days and show receipts of filing those copyright certificates. If I really have to do that, I will. I don't feel the need I have to do it, because the bottom line is he'll know in April or May of next year when he gets sued for copyright infringement in a federal district court in his area. I believe it's the Middle District of Florida, federal court. I have to double check that, but I believe that's the one. And he'll be sued for statutory damages and for injunctive relief to stop the infringement, the willful infringement, in my opinion, but we'll let the judge decide that. All right, so let me go over a couple of community postings that the defendant posted. I'm going to be paraphrasing. I am not stating exact phrases, but you'll get the gist. Okay. And once I'm done with these two community postings, these will tie into exactly why we're also now suing in federal copyright court. Okay. And then I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to come back, and we're going to go over what was said in his stream yesterday. Okay. So, and these are not in any particular order. These are two of his most recent postings, not the absolute recent, but these are recent within the last, I'd say, probably 15, 16 hours or so. The first one, he was talking about that him and his group made $670 over the past week. And I paraphrase. He posts a holiday brag that they made about $670 this week, and he thanked people for coming to his Rumble stream. So he makes a posting bragging about making $670, which he hasn't made in ages in 1 week. But all of a sudden, he rebroadcasts 3 of my live streams in a row and makes a bunch of money because that's what his audience donates to. That's commercial exploitation. That is not fair use. Okay? That is massive and willful copyright infringement. Okay? So, I'm not here to wallet watch or pocket watch anybody, however you want to say it. All I'm doing is pointing out the motive and saying that when someone is repeatedly using my name, my likeness, and my content, and then publicly celebrating weekly revenue tied to that cycle, it helps explain why the behavior continues. It's very profitable for him, but it's not legal. It's commercial exploitation and massive copyright infringement. And he knows it. He absolutely knows it. Okay? And if I had to sum this up in one line, outrage is a business model. Facts are a boundary. That's what he focuses his content on, is outrage. Whenever he does outrageous things, whether it's himself, sometimes he'll drink on stream like he did recently, right? Whether he, says devastating things about me that are typically not true or highly exaggerated. Whenever he creates the outrage, that's when the people show up, on top of, the rebroadcasting of my live streams that are happening live. And then that's when they donate. And in my opinion, they're not donating to him because they like him or support him. In my opinion, they're donating to him because their hatred for me is greater than liking him, in my opinion, right? These people only come around and support him when he's talking about me. And when he does his real content, they're nowhere to be found, right? They're nowhere to be found. That's just the truth of the matter. Let's see. Tia says, Radio Shack, That woman is not good. None of us can understand the hatred she carries for no reason. Oh, you're talking about, he was talking about the women over there in general, not just one particular woman, Tia. Just to clear that up. All right. We are at 35 minutes. Let's go over this one more community posting. Let's paraphrase it, dissect it. And then we'll take a break and come back and get into what he said on his stream yesterday. This is the second community post, and it's involving the defendant's internet girlfriend that, from what I've heard, and unless he corrects the record on this, they met up one time, and then they keep in touch for the time being until they see each other whenever that may be down the road. They keep in touch over the internet. They watch movies over the internet together. I mean, they can do whatever they want. It's all good. What I care about is what happens out here on YouTube, right? And how it affects me. And if it doesn't affect me, then, they're not even on my radar, right? But her YouTube username is Honey Bunch. And, the comments, that, let me read this here. This is the big one because it contains a legal claim, a persistence evasion statement, and then it's the defendant saying I talk about him nonstop, and Honey Bunch, his internet girlfriend, escalating it. That's what she did. I'm going to paraphrase what the defendant said in his posting. I'm not reading the whole thing. I'm just going to paraphrase a few sections here. He claims that he's not running watch parties, that he's doing commentary, that he pauses and he responds and he debunks. Then he says that copyright strikes will not stop him because he'll just go on a different channel or start another channel. That's what he's been doing for years. This guy is also circumventing a YouTube ban. He got banned on 5 channels at once 3 years ago. And he keeps coming back. And he keeps circumventing. He got remonetized again. It is what it is. I mean, that's up to YouTube to keep the record straight. I'm just sharing what actually happened. Those are absolute facts. I mean, that can't be disputed. Okay? And then his internet girlfriend, Honey Bunch, reinforces it by saying that I'm lying. And then she says, it's fair use. Ma'am, what do you know about fair use? You don't create any content. What is your understanding of fair use copyright law? Because we're going to go over it again like we did the other day. And we're going to correct the record. And anyone watching here, whether they like me or not, is going to be able to hear the correction. Then they can go to Google or ChatGPT and verify it themselves. Right? So I get it. You're standing up for your internet boyfriend. Good for you. I stand up for my lady all the time. But at the same time, and she stands up for me. But if I do something wrong, or Don does something wrong, then we politely and respectfully correct each other. We call each other out. And we keep it real. This is not real because it is not fair use the way he's doing it. You don't understand fair use. I think he understands fair use, but is playing it off to the audience like he doesn't. And he's going to continue to play it off like that, in my opinion, until the federal copyright court holds him accountable eventually. And then she further states that her internet boyfriend only responds when I talk about him. I can talk about him all I want as long as I'm not defaming him and as long as I'm not violating his copyright. Nothing wrong with that. everything I say is to correct the record, I have the right to do that. And so does he. I'm not questioning his freedom of speech, but it seems like he's trying to question mine, right? You folks are sitting here basically complaining at me for you folks doing the same thing. You folks are basically whining and complaining that I'm doing something that you folks are doing yourselves. Yeah, I'm responding. I'm doing it professionally, calmly. I'm emphasizing a few things here and there with my passion, right? But I have the right to do that, and so do you, and so does he, and so does everybody. What you don't have the right to do is infringe my copyright. What you don't have the right to do is defame my character. What you don't have the right to do is to harass me. And same goes on the flip side. And I think you all understand that. But you're in so deep with the defendant, in my opinion, that you're just going to agree with whatever he says, because you know if you don't agree with everything he says, he's going to throw a temper tantrum, right? And man, listen, it's up to you. If you want to be with someone that throws constant temper tantrums, and I've seen this over the years, so I know it to be true. If you are going to choose to be with someone that throws constant temper tantrums over petty little things because he can't get his way on everything, which no one can, then that speaks for itself, man. It says a lot about you and your character, in my opinion, right? So I'll talk about him all I want. If he continues to make false statements as facts about me, if he continues to misrepresent me, misappropriate things, if he continues to say things that are not true or exaggerates things, I will correct the record every time. Every time. I will not use his copyright. I will not defame him. I will not harass him. All I'm going to do is correct the record. So here's the correction. Let me check out the chat real quick. Radio Shack says it's all a comedy circus with them. They play victim after they burn bridges and gaslight the situation. They do it. He does it for content. He knows exactly what he's doing. A lot of people think that he doesn't even understand what he's doing. No, he understands what he's doing. It's basically creating fake outrage. Even the stuff that he does, and he acts all goofy and stuff, and outraged and upset, that's all amped up on purpose. So yeah, if you want to call that gaslighting and stuff like that, yeah, there is some gaslighting, in my opinion, coming from him and others over there, but a lot of it is just an act. It's a bad act, but it's an act. Radio Shock says they want to take away your First Amendment right of speech, and they want to use your copyrighted content while making money off of it. And you said, wow, so you're from the UK. Wonderful. See, I think a lot of people are thinking that you're ODN, but you're not. You said whilst. And that's somebody from the UK. So that's good. I'm glad you did that. Thank you, Radio Shack. Good comments. So here's the correction, Honey Bunch and Defendant and anyone else. Saying commentary doesn't automatically equal fair use. Fair use is fact specific. Look it up on Google. Look it up on ChatGPT. I think you already know the answer. But look it up. Don't take my word for it. Use the electronic tools we've all been given in this modern world, ma'am. And sir. That's number one. Number two, repeated broadcasting, especially large portions, can still be infringement even with commentary. Repeated broadcasting or rebroadcasting, especially large portions, can still be infringement even with commentary. The amount of the use matters. The nature of the use matters. He's saying commentary and criticism. Fine. Okay? Fine. But there's transformation also. Does he sustainably transform the work? And I would say no. We'll let the judge in the copyright court, federal copyright court, decide that, right? Just because he's responding, calling me the C word, just because he's responding by insulting me and saying things that aren't true about me, okay, that's not properly transforming the content. That's basically doing an insult, and when he defames me, doing a defamation for dollars campaign. And that can and will be easily proven in federal copyright court. Number 3, and the statement that he'll just, go on another channel is not a legal argument. It is an admission of intent to keep doing it regardless of enforcement. Well, once the law steps in to stop this through injunctions, if he continues to violate me in those ways, then I'll get right back into the court to enforce him violating a protective order. Bottom line. And I will retain jurisdiction with both courts. I will request for the courts to retain jurisdiction for life. They will give that to me. And that way I can hold him accountable because, he's not going to stop. He basically, what he said, in my opinion, even though he did state these things, he's saying that he's not going to stop no matter what. Basically, it was implying that even if there's an injunction and the law steps in, he's going to disregard the law. And then he talks about nonstop, and when he's saying that I talk about him nonstop, the framing is backwards. Let me clear this up for you, sir, because I think you already know this. You're just trying to give your audience what they want to make money, right? People are allowed to correct the record about themselves calmly, like I am. I am calm. I'm a very passionate, energetic type of person, and I like to emphasize my words. And if you want to try to spin me as being triggered, spin it off as me being triggered, that's on you, but I'm cool and calm and collected. So again, people are allowed to correct the record about themselves calmly. What's not okay is turning a real person into a recurring monetized character and then blaming them for objecting. So it's a very hypocritical thing. And this is perfect because I put this all together. Yes, I ran it through ChatGPT and I refined it, but I did all the work. I just don't feed one thing into ChatGPT and go with it. I keep on giving it more information and I refine it as close to perfect as possible. Nothing is perfect. No one's perfect, but I try to get it as perfect as possible. Okay. Let me repeat that again. What's not okay is turning a real person, me, into a recurring monetized character and then blaming me for objecting. You're basically getting mad at me for standing up for myself against something that if I was doing the same thing to you or someone else was doing it to you, you would stand up for yourself. So why is it okay for you to enforce your rights and stand up for yourself, but no one else can enforce them on you? Are you immune to the law, sir? Right? Do you have like immunity, like from President Trump or somebody? I mean, that's a sarcastic joke, obviously, but who the heck's granted you immunity from having to follow the law of the land? Like state, local, and federal laws. So here's the thing. What this all boils down to for me, I am not here to fight the internet. I'm not here to fight the internet. I'm here to help people. I'm documenting patterns, preserving evidence, and insisting on lawful behavior. One more time, I'm not here to fight the internet. I'm documenting patterns, preserving evidence, and insisting on lawful behavior. GLM. Tia, why did you delete GLM's message? Was that a mistake? Because she's a managing mod. I think that was a mistake. Like, Tia's phone sometimes hits the wrong buttons. GLM, welcome to the show. 1 minute delay between what I say and what goes out. Hi, Eli, Dawn, Tia, and Radio Shack troll who made their account a couple weeks ago. Yeah, probably, but they've been okay so far, so we'll let them stay. Hey, GLM, says Don. All right. So let me ask you in the chat before I take my first break. If you support calm boundaries, type I'm in. If you support calm boundaries, type I'm in the chat, please. Radio Shack says the women who encourage this and get upset for you protecting your rights are deeply disturbed. It's like they feel the need to be aggressive. Well, here's the thing, Radio Shack. Every woman's going to protect their man. Every man's going to protect their woman. And they should to a certain extent. But if you're a woman and you're dating a man that has shitty, piss poor behavior, and you sign off on that, and you can't see it, or you're just choosing to ignore it because you know your man would have a temper tantrum if you didn't support him on it, it says a lot about the character of any woman in that situation. On the flip side, sometimes guys are that way with women, right? Oh. Here, I'll fix it. I will fix GLM. I just did a timeout for 10 seconds. GLM, come back. Come back. Come back right now. By the time you hear this, there's a 1 minute delay from what I say and what goes out. Come back. I did the timeout for 10 seconds. Tia accidentally timed you out because she has managing mod access. It was a mistake. It was an accident. I didn't even realize she was timed out for 1.8k seconds, but I reset that to 10 seconds. You should be back. That was an accident. I'm in, says Radio Shack. Don says I'm in. I'm sure Tia will be in as well. No worries. Tia says, I'm so sorry, GLM. No worries. No worries. I hope she comes back. All right. So that's the first part there. There's not really much more to say about it. There's a lot more coming up in the second part. Let me go ahead and queue up some royalty-free YouTube music. Try to play something. GL or TS says, thank you, Eli. Yeah, no worries. No worries. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. All right. Let's see. Let's queue it up. Queue it up. Let me see. Let me see here. Boop 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 boop. All right. What are we going to come back to? What are we going to come back to? Boop 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 boop. Oh, come on. Got it. All right. Music is all queued up. I'm going to step away for a short break, 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 minutes or something like that. GLM loves it when I do that. I think my lady does too. But yeah, is GLM back? Oh, Deanne's in the house. Hello, GLM and Tia and Don and Eli. Respectfully, maturely, professionally, Don says, hey, ODN. All right, come back, GLM. Excuse me. My throat's a little dry. I got to drink something. Stick around. Round. We'll be right magic. Yeah.
They don't see things the same. To walk like two out the
Then
door.
you have magic.
Then you have magic.
Yeah, Otis McDonald with Magic Part 2. Humma, humma. Yeah. With Whiskey from the YouTube audio library. Oh, yeah. Let me enjoy the music for a minute here, okay? All right. Welcome back to Navigating the Modern World with Eli. Glad you could all join me here today. It is Saturday. We are fired up here at the GNA, which is short for Genuine Networking Association. We are more fired up than ever. We feel real good. We feel real positive. We feel real inspiring. We just feel amazing, and we want you to come along and join us on this journey so you can feel amazing as well, okay? These drama groups, they're just not good for you. They're not good for you. They're not good for your mental health. They're not good for your sanity. They're just not good. And you folks like to call them entertaining, but they're not. They're not. The GNA is here to help people work past the need of those groups. They're toxic. Those are toxic groups. You do not need to be a part of a toxic group. Absolutely not. If you agree with me that no one needs to be or should be a part of a toxic group, so snap out of that rut and start doing something positive today. Come join us over here and let us help uplift you back to where you belong in a positive world. All right. We're just going to let the song play out because I just feel like it. I feel good. Oh, yeah. ODN is loving it there in the chat. ODN loves it when I feel good, and I know why you love it when I feel good, ODN, right? All right. We're back. Let me make sure that everything is rolling smoothly here. Let me make sure my audio still sounds good. This over here, and let us help uplift you back to where you belong in a positive world. All right. All right, we're in sync and we're all good. All right, let's get right back to it. So now we're going to get into the defendant's stream from yesterday. We're going to paraphrase things here just to get the point across, and then we're going to calmly and professionally and respectfully correct the record. Okay? So let's do it. So I made a comment on my Walking with Purpose stream regarding royalties and, all that stuff. Regarding making a documentary surrounding my experiences with the defendant, because, he's been doing all of this to me for years, like for 6+ years. I talked about that, right? And as always, him and his group spun it out of context. I'm going to correct the record here right now, okay? So I also want to correct the record regarding a short clip that was recently uploaded from a longer stream because context matters and good faith matters, right? So from that stream where the defendant rebroadcasted me last night and he was going back and forth, he was always on Rumble, but he basically had, I think, a total of 3 separate YouTube streams because every time that I went offline for a second, he thought that I was going to file a DMCA copyright takedown notice. So he actually cares about copyright. He just tries to phrase it and package it in a way where he only cares about it when it affects him, but not anyone else. When it affects me and what he's doing to me has affected me, right? He doesn't care about that, but when it affects him, oh, he certainly cares about it, right? Okay. So in that clip, my comments were reframed as though I was threatening commercial exploitation or acting inconsistently with my own principles. That is not accurate. Okay. So I was not threatening commercial exploitation or acting inconsistently with my own principles. It's not accurate. What I actually said and what I meant is very simple. If I ever choose to make a documentary about my experiences, I would prefer to do so respectfully and legally, unlike, in my opinion, the defendant is doing with me, right? And I think everyone knows where I'm going with this, including him, right? I think they all knew what I meant by it, but because they want to spin things out of context to continue painting me as the villain, to continue getting defamation for dollars and stuff like that, right? Okay, I have to correct the record, right? That means asking permission where appropriate, licensing content when required, and offering compensation or royalties if someone's copyrighted material is used beyond what fair use allows. So I have a respect for the copyright and fair use law within copyright, right? That's all I meant by that. I think he knew that, but he has to spin it in a way to his audience where they're going to open up their pocketbook and give him money, right? Right. Okay. That was not a threat. That is not a threat. It is not a threat. That is not hypocrisy. That is good faith compliance with copyright law. That's all it is. Good faith compliance with copyright law. Offering to license content or pay royalties is not an admission that something is unlawful. It is the opposite. It's quite the opposite. It is an acknowledgement that creators have rights. He has rights. Even though he's violating mine, he still has rights to his own content, right? And that respecting those rights is how adults handle disputes, right? That's called respecting boundaries, sir. Something that you have very difficult respecting beyond your own boundaries and maybe the closest people to you, like your internet girlfriend and a few others, right? Okay. You got to respect other people's boundaries, sir, in the ways that you would want your boundaries respected, right? What goes around comes around, right? What goes up must come down, right? Okay. Clarifying the legal reality in plain English, because I want to make sure that everyone understands this, right? Let me be very clear about something that keeps getting blurred. Let me check out the chat before I get to that, okay? GLM is back. Next time, maybe someone could have untimed me out. I did untime you out when I figured it out, GLM. 1 minute delay between what I say and what goes out. You were timed out for 1.8K seconds. And then I went, when I saw it a few minutes later, because there's a delay here to protect my channel, I went in and untimed you out. I did the 10-second thing, but you had left. So stick around a little bit when that happens in the future so you can actually hear what's going on. My apologies to you, sincerely. Much respect. You know we have love for you, okay? Hey, girl, says respectfully, maturely, and professionally to GLM. Hi, GLM. I can see you, says Lewis Fuller. Hey, Lewis Fuller, how you doing, brother? How you doing, man? Radio Shack says, hi, GLM. GLM says, hi, ODN, Don, Eli, Tia, Radio Shack. You can kiss. Oh, I'll leave that one to you, GLM. Lewis Fuller, hopefully I can fix the problem tomorrow and make you a moderator. Okay. Lewis, hey, buddy, says GLM. Good to see you. Tia says, you're good, GLM. I am so very sorry. I really felt bad. I hate when I F up. Love you, says Tia. We all love everyone here. We do. All right. So let me be very clear about something that keeps getting blurred. I am allowed to make a documentary about my own lived experiences. I've been living this for the longest time. I'm still living it. I've sued this guy in I've sued this guy in civil court. I've sued him in the circuit civil court, and he keeps on amplifying. So now I've got to go to federal copyright court because he's exploiting the aspect that I can't control in a circuit civil case. And what I mean by control is legal control, right? This is not about silencing his freedom of speech. It's not about him not being able to talk about me. He can talk about me all he wants. But basically, it's plugging the loophole that, he's been trying to exploit over the last 3 days by simulcasting my entire live streams again as they're live, like he used to do that many times in the days, right? I am allowed to describe what happened to me. I'm allowed to do that. I'm not defaming anyone by doing that. I'm just sharing my experiences, which I am very, very well allowed to do so within my First Amendment protected speech. I am allowed to include commentary, criticism, and education, just like you assert, sir. You're allowed to do commentary. You're allowed to do criticism. You're allowed to use, fair use clips for educational purposes. But you don't use clips. You use full-length, hour-plus long videos from live streams, typically when they're happening live, right? Because that's when you get the most engagement with your audience, right? And get the most donations, right? In some circumstances, I could also rely on fair use, particularly where the use is transformative. And I actually transform things. I actually bring value if I'm talking about someone else or using something under fair use, which I don't use anything on the YouTube end of things. I have licenses from Canva and other places to use certain copyrighted things, but I just, especially from this one group that's led by this defendant, those people will flag you down, and they flag you down because they want to get your reaction and then use that for content. It's pretty pathetic, right? By choosing, but choosing to go beyond the bare minimum required by law, by offering licenses or compensation is not weakness, it is professionalism. You see, all I was doing was offering you what you should have offered me to be doing what you're doing. Now, would I have accepted money from you, even if you offered me half the revenue to do what you do? I still wouldn't accept it because it affects me in ways that are more than any monetary value, could pay me to allow it. Now, let's address the commercial exploitation accusation directly. Okay? The claim that I intended to commercially exploit someone because I discussed the possibility of a documentary is backwards, okay? Commercial exploitation is when someone repeatedly uses another person's name, likeness, voice, or content without consent as entertainment or monetized fodder. Okay? That's commercial exploitation. What I described was the opposite: transparency, consent where required, and compensation when appropriate. That's called acting in good faith, something that the defendant, I'm sure I was going to say he knows nothing about, but he does know about good faith. He just chooses not to act usually in good faith. Sometimes he does, but usually when it comes to me, he doesn't. I don't think he's ever acted in good faith around me. And then here's the kicker. On his stream and what he clipped, and he basically clipped a 3-minute portion of his stream last night of this whole scenario and uploaded that clip on a backup YouTube channel with the same name as his main channel. Okay. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. We all know why he did it. He's trying to siphon more engagement, and he's trying to do it in a safe way on a backup channel that has the same name as his regular channel. What he's been trying to do is commercially exploit me, in my opinion, while at the same time growing without risking his main channels going down for copyright infringement. He's using Rumble as a backup. He's trying to protect his main YouTube channel, and he's also trying to protect his pop culture channel that's monetized. Okay. He said, if I make the documentary, he will sue the shit out of me. And now that's funny. So if I make the documentary within my legal First Amendment rights to share my story, he will sue the shit out of me. You see, I can use small clips of your content, sir, under fair use. And I would do fair use the proper way, unlike yourself, right? And here's the thing, sir. Wherever I make this documentary down the road, it won't be out here on YouTube, okay? It will be on somewhere else, like under a paywall or something, right? Now, you can try to sue me at that point. Or, like I said, maybe at that point, you'll say, hey, Eli, I'll sell you a license. And then it's our story, right? It could be considered that if you want. But I want to share my story and my experiences with you, between you and your group. Because it is a fascinating story that I think would be more than just 1 2-hour documentary. This would be like a series. There's no way in hell you're going to be able to capture this in like 2 hours. This is going to be like maybe a 5 to 10 part series at least. But if I want to make that, it's within my rights. And I can assert my fair use rights using small clips, small excerpts. Sure, you can sue me, but at that point, then I'll just defend myself under the real way of using fair use, unlike yourself, because it'd be only small clips and it would be transformative and it would be basically just sharing the truth about what happened, right? Okay. So a little final clarification. So let me correct the record one last time. I am not threatening anyone. I was not demanding anything. I was not claiming special rights. I was stating that if I ever tell my story in long form, I intend to do it lawfully, respectfully, and where appropriate, cooperatively. And you're very uncooperative, sir. People can decide for themselves which approach sounds reasonable. And I'll close on this part with this. Good faith doesn't need distortion to look bad. It looks bad only when someone needs to distort it, like the defendant, right? Good faith doesn't need distortion to look bad. It looks bad only when someone needs to distort it, right? And he has to distort things with me or his audience won't show up and they won't donate. Bottom line, that's the truth of the matter. Lots of proof of that. It will be proven in both the circuit civil case and in the copyright case. Okay. Give me a second here. Let me see. They don't understand copyright laws. No, they do. They do. They're just pretending they don't. They understand copyright laws. They're just pretending to do that because it's the only way they make money. And they know once this game ends for them, they won't make that much money anymore, at least through me, right? They'll have to find a different way to do it, right? A more legit way, in my opinion. Okay. But here's the thing. For shits and giggles, Radio Shack, just in case the defendant does not understand copyright laws, he'll find out in federal district court in the middle of next year at some point when the case is filed. There you go. Elias 100. Thank you, Odin. I appreciate that. Yeah, GLM, I totally get what you're saying. I'm refraining from answering regarding that person, but you could talk about it all you want in the chat. ODN says facts. GLM says that some other women in that group that are a part of the defendant's group, the drama group, were trying to get a lady that goes by Scotty, her ex, on stream. Oh, I can't say that. I can't say that, GLM. Anyway. Oh, I can't even say anything that GLM is putting out there. It's okay. It's okay. It's all good. I get where you're coming from, GLM. The thing is, she hasn't been putting out any content lately. I wonder why. I think I know why. But anyway, let's continue. We are at 1 hour and 28 minutes. So I want to try to finish this up in the next 20 to 30 minutes. Let me make sure it sounds good. Group that are a part of the defendant's group, drama group. We're trying to get all right. More correcting the record here from the stream. So I want to set some boundaries and the purpose here, okay? Quick record correction. Then we're moving on. But if we need to correct, we'll correct, okay? I'm not here for drama. I'm here for accuracy. In case you're new, I don't do insults. Have I insulted people before? Sure. We've all done it. I'm really trying hard to not be insulted, but it's very hard when people insult me as their monetization game on YouTube while using my content in its entirety, right? I don't do personal attacks and I don't do mob energy like the defendant and his group. I do facts, receipts, and calm clarity. Now, the defendant in his stream yesterday opened up before he started rebroadcasting me. I think he went live shortly before I did from the park yesterday on my Walking with Purpose stream. He played this like AI video. It was like a smear video of my lady Dawn. I mean, not I said Dawn. Sorry, the AI video / Dawn smear, DAWN. Okay. So this is going to be the exact claim and the correction. So last night, there was an AI clip depicting Dawn on a couch next to a man named Dante, right? Now, Dante is a stereotypical person, in this case, Dante in the AI video, was played by an African-American man. Okay? We don't have to go any further than that. I think you folks can figure out what the stereotype is. I don't want to repeat that here. And the narration then said that Dawn is looking healthier without me, and that I force her to be disabled, and I force her to be crippled, and that she's much happier at this point without me. That I am destroying her dreams and her looks, and she looks a lot happier at this point without me around. AI videos. How simple are they to make? How stupid are they? What value does this have? Is this going to upset me? No. Is it going to upset Dawn? No. Are we laughing at how ridiculous it is? Right? And that's why the defendant had to shift into rebroadcasting my live stream, because he knew if he kept on putting those stupid AI videos, trying to talk smack about myself and my girlfriend Dawn, the people wouldn't donate and they would leave. They only donate when he rebroadcasts me and insults me or possibly defames me at times too. Okay? Let me correct the record. That is false. I have never forced Dawn to be disabled ever. That is cruel. Using disability as a punchline is not commentary, it's dehumanizing. This guy and his group accused me of not respecting people that are a protected class, right? Or have a disability. I respect everyone that deserves respect. And when it comes to respect, there are no judgments based on anything besides your behavior. It doesn't matter if you're disabled. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, straight, gay. It doesn't matter who you are. What matters is your behavior, how you show up, how you treat others. And do you treat others the way you'd want to be treated, right? Because I know some people out here, like the defendant, for example, okay, that wants to be treated like a king, but treats most other people like crap. And even if that's just his stage presence, that's what we see of him. And that's what people are judged on. And we shouldn't really judge anyone, but everyone judges. Let's be real about it, okay? In life, like I've always said, you're only going to get back what you put out. That is exploitative. Using an AI depiction of my partner in a fake scenario to suggest she's healthier without me is not a receipt. It's a manufactured smear. That's another thing that doesn't shield you with parody. You see, this guy tries to use parody to shield him from smearing people, defaming people, harassing people, right? You can't use parody to harass people or to avoid copyright infringement. You can't use parody to do that. This is what he does. This guy tries to hide behind the shield of parody, the shield of fair use, and the shield of First Amendment protected speech. He thinks that being able to hide behind that or trying to hide behind that is like a magic force field or shield where he never has to accept responsibility for any of his actions, especially when it's harming other people directly, like myself and my lady Dawn and others here in our organization. And yes, using a named character like Dante in that setup is not subtle. It is a stereotyped Sorry, it is a stereotype coded choice, and people can see exactly what's being implied. Of course. Of course. So it's funny to me that this guy can dish it out, but he can't take it, right? So he dishes it out. We dish it out back to him. In the past, I would dish it out to him, and then he files to try to get an injunction on me, a stalking injunction on me, for insulting him in the same ways he insults me. Insults are protected speech, sir. They're not nice, but they're protected speech, right? But again, the hypocrisy is, okay, if I insult him, I'm now going to get sued for a protective order, for an injunction for stalking. If he does it, it's fair use, shielded by parody, and shielded by shielded by fair use, shielded by parody, and shielded by the First Amendment. Right. Everything, all those aspects shield you, sir, to the point of where you never, ever need to be held responsible or accountable for anything, right? And in my opinion, he's never been held responsible or accountable for anything in his life. And because of these court cases, it's about to happen for the first time in his 40 years of life. He's 40 years old. And for the first time ever, at 40, he's finally going to be held responsible and accountable for some things. I hope he learns his lessons, and I hope it helps him become a better person. So here's the reality. Dawn is a real person. She's my girlfriend. I love her. She's not a prop. Her health isn't a storyline. If anything, it's a positive storyline because she's come a long way. And I will not normalize anyone using disability-themed insults or AI scenes to rewrite our life for clicks. That's ridiculous, dude. That's absolutely ridiculous. Hypocrite. You and your group accuse me of hating disabled people, which I don't. I don't. But then you go and do it yourselves? How contradicting of a statement is that? Right? All I've ever done is hold people accountable for their behavior. It doesn't matter where they come from or who they are. It doesn't matter if they're a protected class or not, male, female, whatever. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter your ethnicity, right? It doesn't matter. What matters is how you show up, how you behave. And just to be crystal clear, you don't get to call cruelty comedy and then demand to be taken seriously. Come on. Hypocrisy at its finest. You don't get to call cruelty comedy and then demand to be taken seriously. Unbelievable, unreal. Let's see. Yeah, I see what you're saying, GLM. It's really hard for me to say the stuff you're saying because you know why. But I'm reading what you're saying, and I get what you're saying. And you're right, GLM. That's funny. That's funny. He's saying that they should be in the Epstein files. That's funny. That's funny. I agree, Radio Shack, says ODN. Well, we know Bill Clinton. Sorry, we know Bill Clinton is in the Epstein files. We know Bill Clinton was in the hot tub. They showed pictures of Bill, but not anyone else. Maybe Donald Trump was in the hot tub. Many others too. Many others. Maybe one day we'll get all the unredacted stuff, right? Yeah, you make sense with your point, GLM. No problem, Eli says GLM. Yeah, you know why, GLM. You know, I've got to protect the channel. But I see what you're saying, and I get what you're saying. We are at 1 hour and 41 minutes. Let's continue here. Copyright and fair use, correcting the you can't assert copyright. It's all fair use / freedom of speech misunderstanding. So now I'm going to correct something else that was said last night. And he says this all the time, and I correct it all the time. I'm going to correct it again. I'm going to keep correcting it till he stops putting it out there incorrectly. Okay? The claim was essentially you can't assert your copyrights because it's all fair use commentary. I can use your content. You can't stop my freedom of speech, right? I'm paraphrasing this. Okay? Here's how copyright law actually works in plain English, okay? Copyright and free speech are different legal buckets. The First Amendment protects your right to speak. It does not automatically give you the right to copy someone else's work. Sir, you're copying my work. And don't say you're not. You are. You know you are. Fair use is not a magic word. But the defendant likes to use it like a magic shield, like a force field. You don't get to say fair use, and that ends the conversation. It doesn't end the conversation. It only starts it. And it's going to end up in federal district copyright court in the Central District of Florida. The Middle District of Florida. Fair use is a fact-specific legal defense that depends on what you used, how much you used, and why. Courts look at the classic 4 factors, including and you're not looking at this. You're not looking at the 4 factors of fair use. I'd like for you to explain on one of your streams, how are you abiding by all 4 factors? And I'll tell you this. If you go through all 4 factors and you misrepresent it, I will go live soon after that, maybe that same day or next day or the following day, and I will correct the record once again. And I'll keep correcting it until you say the truth. Because the truth shall prevail. 4 factors. 1, purpose, character. Are you transforming it or just repackaging it? He's repackaging it to his audience of Eli haters that only go there when he rebroadcasts me while I'm live in its entirety. And rebroadcasting my stream in its entirety while I'm live. That's what I'm trying to say, right? And then he says things that are either not true or highly exaggerated to rage up their emotions, and then they donate. Nature of the work is number 2. 3 is amount, substantiality. How much did you take, especially the heart of it? When you take almost all the stream, or you do take the whole stream, that's the heart and everything else that goes along with the heart. The heart, the legs, the arms, the eyes, the head, the feet, the toes, the fingers, Like, man, it's like you just don't want one of my legs. You want both my legs, both my arms, both my eyes. You want my head. You want my back. You want my neck. You want everything. That's not how fair use works. And market effect, this is huge. You're not talking about this. I'd like to hear your response on this. And again, if you respond and you get it wrong, I'll correct it again. Market effect. Are you substituting for the original? Siphoning audience? Yeah, he is substituting for the actually. He's is that? Let me make sure I get that right. Okay. Yes, he is substituting for the original. Basically, he's basically making the original his on his end. Siphoning audience? Yeah, I got proof of you getting 5 times the amount of views. I got proof of you inciting and getting donations, right? Or monetizing someone else's work. I just said that. I don't need to go into that again. It speaks for itself. So when someone is rebroadcasting large portions of a live stream or functionally running a watch party, it is a watch party. No matter what he says, it's a watch party. That's not automatically fair use just because they talk over it. You can't just sit there and say, I'm going to take this guy's 1 hour or 2 hour stream. I'm going to rebroadcast it at the same time that he's going live. And because I talk about it all the way, I'm going to claim fair use and there's nothing he can do about it. It doesn't work that way. We will decide that in federal copyright court coming up this year. If the use is excessive, non-transformative, and it replaces the need to watch the original, that weighs against fair use. That's exactly what you do. Also, a DMCA notice is not silencing speech, sir. You like to say that DMCAs are used to silence your speech? I don't care what you say about me, unless if it's defamatory, I care. If you defame my character and you affect my reputation from people wanting to support me and follow me here, or anyone else like my lady, or anyone else like Tia and Sandra and Odie and anyone else that's here, if you defame us and you cause us reputational harm, I care about that. If you want to insult us, go ahead. Insult us all you want. Just don't violate our copyright and don't defame us, and you're good. So a DMCA notice is not silencing speech. It is a copyright enforcement process, period, end of story. And claiming that you can use my content either way is just not how the law works. That's a reckless disregard for the law or the truth, sir. It's either a reckless disregard for the law or the truth, or you're just pretending to act that way because you want reactions from me, and that's what your audience wants for YouTube theatrics, right? So that way you can incite donations, right? Permission matters. Amount matters. Transformation matters. So I'm correcting the record. Saying fair use doesn't make it fair use. Just saying fair use doesn't make it fair use. Putting a disclaimer in your description section or within your videos saying it's fair use doesn't make it fair use. The court of law decides what's fair use. The court of law decides that based on those 4 factors. And freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom to rebroadcast. That's great. And freedom of speech, sir, doesn't mean freedom to rebroadcast. And in this section, let me close. And this is the last thing. We're almost done. And that's the correction. We're done. We're not doing a spiral, just accuracy. If you're here for growth and real conversation, welcome. If you're here for smear content, you're in the wrong place. 1 hour and 49 minutes. Let me check out the chat real quick before we go off the air. Well, it seems like some of the people in the chat are insulting the other side. You know, I'm not about the insults. I understand why they're insulting the other side, because the other side's insulting them. At some point, one side really needs to stop, right? And, if you stop and they keep going, you can either ignore it or you can take them to court, like I'm taking the defendant to court. But if you keep doing a back and forth, and I'm not telling you folks what to do in the chat. I love everyone here, okay? And I love everyone in general, okay? But if both sides keep going back and forth insulting each other, what's that going to accomplish? We're grown-ass adults. The people out here that we're surrounded by in, in this group, this drama group that we so much want to get out of, right? We so much want them to just leave us alone so we can just do our own thing and grow with our real audience. But if the back and forth keeps going and nobody stops, it's never going to end. And it's pretty pathetic. It's dumb. It's stupid. All right. So it is 12:52 p.m. Pacific time, 3:52 p.m. Eastern time. We have 52 people viewing here. Thank you so much for being here. Whether you're here because you want to be here or you're just curious or you're from the other side and this is the only way you can actually view this, right? Maybe some people that have pushed it way too far, maybe they're starting to realize how much they pushed it. Give me a second here. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, I know you're trolling, but here's the thing. I'll answer your question anyway. We've got listeners of all ethnicities, of all ages, of all, races, of all genders, etc. Right? We're not going to just exclude everyone and just talk about one and say, hey, respectfully, you have a lot of this certain type of listeners. I've said nothing that offends anyone. I love everyone. That was a stupid comment. It really was. All right. I'm going to wrap this up and get on out of here. Don and I have a couple of errands to run, and then we're going to, and I'm going to probably walk in a few hours. I'm going to try to walk a little bit earlier. Let me check. I think the weather is going to be cooperative today. It's been raining out here. It's been windy and rainy. But there's no rain in the forecast. Around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 55 degrees. Not bad. Partly cloudy, but no rain. That's good. But yeah, maybe some people are beginning to realize that, hey, yeah, this has been pushed way too far. And, I'll come out publicly and say I've never wanted to sue anyone. No one likes suing anyone. I'm not enjoying this. I don't have a choice. It just won't stop. I'm in a circuit civil case. And for the last 3 months, I've been dealing with the defendant amping things up times 10. And then another lady he's working with that lives in the same state of Florida. They're acting in concert together. For a while, she was amping it up times 50. And now she's kind of backed off. I can only assume maybe the stove is too hot. I don't know. You tell me. Right? Maybe he'll start backing off. Who knows? But this is real. It doesn't matter. I mean, the right thing for them to do would be to back off right now and to just, cut their losses and prepare for court. Because here's the thing. I've already filed everything. We're in the circuit civil case already. Now, I'm still open to settlement, right? And I'd be open to settlement in both cases. But he's not. He should probably try to settle, but that's on him. And me putting it out there is nothing besides me saying, hey, I'm open to settlement. What's wrong with saying that? That doesn't mean I'm scared of the case. I'm not scared that I'm going to lose. I'm not scared of anything. Audiences later, guys. Radio Shack 100 GLM. Anyway. All right. All right. Time to go, folks. Love you all. Have a good one. Take care. And as always, be good to each other. See you all later on the walk on the same channel. And we are out, 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 out. Oh.